everyone. Hope you're all okay. And thanks for joining me today. A bit cooler. Nice. Hope you're not getting too much rain where you are. I know it's pretty bad in parts, so hope you managed to join us anyway today. And I'm going to show you our mix and match set and a few ideas using it. I'm not going to do a whole cake. I've got a cake with all sorts of bits on it, but it's to get the ideas across rather than just sit and do a whole cake. So yeah, hope you enjoy it, and I'm going to get started. So this is my board, and this is the full set of the cutters. So you can see here you get quite a few in the set, and you can, as they're called, mix and match. You can mix things up. You can use that one to cut that one out, and the centre of this I'm going to show you how to make flowers with later. So yeah, there's lots of different ways of using them. Now, I've got everything with me bar that big one, the big rose, but I think I've shown you that before, so I'm not too bothered about that. As I say, it's the other ones this time that I want to show you that I'm using. So the first thing I'm going to do is a little bit of painting just to get us in, and if anyone's late joining us, it'll give them a chance to catch up or to watch anyway. So I'm just going to put that to one side, and I think I'll put it over here because I might need it again in a moment. Right, I'll move that to one side as well. Right, so I'm going to use flour paste. Now, well, I'm going to actually first start off with sugar paste because I'm going to emboss some of the cupcakes and things. So these two cupcakes here, it's using the middle rows. So all I've done is use sugar paste on the cupcakes, my plastic cupcakes. My cakes aren't that hard, they're bad enough, but they're not that hard. Yeah, so I've painted this one all gold, and I think against the duck egg blue it looks really nice. And this one I painted the pink, and I've used I've used rainforest green on this, just like a thin water wash. It will go really dark if you have the consistency too strong. So I'm just going to paint one of these in on a little cookie. So what I've done, I've used a small heart cutter to cut out the cookie, the same heart cutter to cut out the heart, and then I've used the smallest of these. I'm just going to make a noise now while I tip them out. Right. Let's see. So I just used the smaller heart. That's the small, that's the medium, and then as I say, I can't find the large one anywhere. You know when you put things down and they're gone forever. Right. So I've just embossed that. Now when you do emboss, go over the edge, so that you're not leaving sort of plain gaps all the way around, and it does look rather nice when you come to paint it in. And I'm going to use a pink colour, so this is called Magnolia Pearl. It'll say on the lid something totally different, but it's actually Magnolia Pearl, and a little alcohol in there, and a fine brush. Okay, so just go over first of all. You've seen me, I've just gone over the leaf, but it's okay, I can repaint it. I've embossed that one upside down. I think every day was Monday this week. Everything's all back to front. Right, so just painting that part first. Now the painting, you've seen me paint before, I've done loads of painting with you now. And so each time it is the same. I like to use the alcohol. It does evaporate away, but if you can't use alcohol for any reasons, you're not allowed, then just use lemon extract, pure lemon extract, which you can get from most supermarkets now. I know a few supermarkets have it. Okay, so a little squirt of the, and I only use this because it does dry so quickly. Now, you see, if I painted with that, I'll do one so you can see. If I painted with that, you see how strong that is. So if I add more alcohol, so the whole point of these sessions is to show the difference in what I'm doing, ideas and what not to do as much as what to do. Okay, so you can see how a bit more, and that will really dilute the colour out. It's the shade I'm after, really. Now, to get that out of there, I'm going to use just water on my brush and just give it a good old wash. Keep going. And because I'm using dust colour, I can remove that and that will take it back. So don't worry if you think, oh, that looks a mess, or your eye is drawn to it because it's darker than the rest. Just get your water and wash it out. You see, alcohol will dry too quickly to be able to do that. And then I would just go over that little pink centre again. There. Right, so that's how to get rid of the dark colours. Right, so round like that. I think these are so pretty for any occasion, the little roses. The weddings, if you've got roses in your bouquet, or even if you're having the buttercream flower bouquets, you know, not everybody likes cake, so a few cookies looks nice. And I think they're cute for baby cakes as well, the little rosebuds. They're just so pretty. Okay, so that would be that. And then you could touch the centre now with a darker shade. So I'm just going to move these out the way because you know what will happen if I don't. They'll be all over the floor. I'm just going to go with, I've got, you could go ruby, but I have got a little bit of coral here. So if I put the tiniest amount of alcohol in there with a tiny amount of colour and just touch the centre. You could use a bit of kitchen paper instead of your fingers like me, just to take the excess colour off. I'm very much get my fingers in. Right, you can just see that, just that hint of dark in the centre, I think just makes it look pretty. Again, that one's too dark, so I'm going to get my water. I'm just going to go over and take some of it out. I want a hint of colour, not to be the main eye catch. See, so I think that darker shade just looks really pretty. It just sets it off. If you wanted to take it further, you could pipe little dots of sugar, royal icing in between, or even when you've embossed with the rose, you could use say a number 3 piping nozzle just to emboss little circles in there, and then you could paint those as well in a different colour. So yeah, so that's the painting. Now on these, I've used this big, the PME cookie cutter. I just like the shape of that, I think it's really nice. And so I've coloured and painted these. I've used bronze, and these are the Wonder Dusts. Ruby Rose, that's that one. Bronze around the outside edge. So again, I mixed in my lid. Let me move that green because I'm going to knock it over. Okay, so I'll just finish that one off. So bronze around the outside, ruby rose in the centre. These go on so nice. The Wonder Dusts are pearlized colours, like so. If you need to go back over any when you've painted them, you think, oh, that's a bit untidy, then you can go back over it. So I did the whole of the centre in the ruby, and then I used, you can use the gold, so they're gold, bright gold. It's quite pretty. Well, it's very pretty. They do have another gold as well. I think it says here, deep rich gold. So I think that one, do you know what? I might go for a deep rich. I'll put that one away for now. I'll use that later. Okay. So and then I'm just going to put this on dry. So I just went over that centre with the gold just to bring those colours up, and then I've touched alcohol with that, and I've just touched the gold into those. Now, when I've embossed these, I have embossed with, let me show you, this little one that you get in the set. So that was that one. That was the centre, yeah. And then the little one that I used a second ago, where I just had it in my hand. It doesn't matter which one you use really. The little handle, the little handle that you have on the back of these cutters, I've just pressed that in between each one. So that little hole is just using the handle there. And then once I've embossed that, I've gone over with my knife and I've just made crisscross, and then I've gone through the centre with that one. Yeah, and embossed over that. So that's how I've got all the different shapes on there. Using the same cutters, but slightly different. This one would go on a cookie. I didn't have another cookie to use, but I painted on, you can see, pink and purple. And then I've embossed the large one, and then straight away that one, and I've only marked off the centre, quilted the centre of that, so you can see the different effects on there. So they're just for the cookies. Right, so I'll just put those to one side. Now the little heart one, I'll just clear the decks. Hopefully it'll be okay. Right, so this one, if I just have that tray back, I'll just get my tracks on there as well. The best way for cleaning your board is just to get a little bit of white shortening on there, and then that will bring everything nice and clean again. Right, so this one here, which I'm going to show you now, it looks like a lollipop. And if you cut that out, the whole thing, like this, and you paint the little bit here around the cake, it would look like ribbon. That's the sort of effect that I was trying to get. But you can just take the outer edge. So I'm going to cut that one out now. I'll just put that over there. I'll just pop it down. Right, so I'm going to use the white paste. Okay, so I do use flour paste, unless it's going on a cookie or just embossed. But if I'm going to cut out, I do use the flour paste, or you can use the Sugar and Crumbs sugar paste, the vanilla one, and just add a little Tylo to it so that it becomes a little firmer. You don't want anything that's too soft. No, where's my... Oh. I'm beginning to put things down all over the place again. Okay, so a little of the shortening on there, and then roll out. Now I like these on, if you have a round cake and you put it on a square board, it gives you 4 corners to fill, and these little plaques look nice either on the side of a cake or on the board on those corners. Because although I'm going to emboss it with a rose, you could emboss and paint with one of the little nursery toys from the lion set, which I think you've seen before. Right, so I'm going to put a little of the shortening on the cutter as well. I'll cut out 2. So I'm going round the outside edge on this one, and then more tracks, and more in the middle. I want that little plaque in the middle. Okay, so I'm not going to use this tail. That's not in the design. I'm not going to use that for a leave it round there, so just pull out that, put that to one side, and pull out that. Okay, so if I put that onto, I'll put it onto the white pad, I'll put it onto here. So you could leave it plain like that, put that to one side, or you can frill it. So if you're going to frill it, then use your bone tool. It is there, and just start going round. Oh, that's not the bone tool, that's a little ball tool. Got the bone tool somewhere here. I've been using it all morning. Oh, there it is. I've been using it all morning. Right. So this is the bone tool, and I like to have it pointing upwards if I'm going to do any frilling. So I'm just starting off, just go around gently. Not too much pressure at this point, because all you're going to do, and especially if your paste is too thick, all that happens is the ball tool or the bone tool will split the paste. So just keep going round and thinning as you go. That's if you want a frilly edge. If you don't, then you would just leave it plain, like so. Okay, and then you would moisten with water. There's no need for sugar glue. I've got sugar glue here, but I quite just use water. And there, then you lift the little plain centre on top and just press round to make sure you don't see the embossed line. Now, if I show you the one that I frilled, but it hasn't got the extra layer, you can leave it like that, but I think it looks finished with that in the centre there. And you could emboss, as I say, the little there's a little dummy, and there's oh, I can't think the other one, but anyway, the little dummy on there. You can emboss and paint, or you can cut it out. Oh, a rattle. You can cut it out and paint it and put it on. I'm going to do that with one of the roses to go on there. So you take a very small piece of paste. So apart from the roses to be embossed and painted, you can also cut them out. So I'll just put that back in the super paste covered, and a little of the shortening, and there, a few cookie crumbs as well. So roll, don't lift it. It's always important with patchwork cutters, you don't lift the paste, leave it stuck down. And then, because the cutter is very detailed, you really put a lot of tricks on there. Okay, and then press firmly. Take that away. Oh, not that firmly. I've got my eye on something else then, I wasn't watching what I was doing. Right, I'll pick that out. That's it. Right, and then you pull the paste. I only need one, so I'm just going to pull the paste from around the outside edge. Paste, yeah, see, that's a bit more detailed because the paste was slightly thicker, so I'll use that one. And then I usually put them onto a piece of plastic. You can use a bag. I use a piece of laminated paper because I've rolled out on tracks or shortening. It will stay on there, so you can put row upon row upon row, and they're not going to move when you paint them. If you put them on something like kitchen paper, then when you paint them, they move about too much. So I would then take my, pop that back on the cover. I'll take the dark green again, the pink, and the cap from, I put that cap now. Anyway, so I'm going to paint with the isopropyl alcohol again. Paint it pink, just as I did with the ones on the cookies. And as it evaporates away, the colour becomes stronger. And then the green. So not only are they embossers, but you can paint with them as well, and that's the whole point of me showing you this little bit here. Right, and then I would go, I can't find the, oh, there's the cap. So a tiny bit. So you could, as I say, you could use a darker pink, or even just that little touch of coral in the centre. Just deepens the flower. And then you take your little plaque. Also nice for cookies, you know, if you're going to make little oval cookies, just cut them out in your sugar paste that has been slightly thickened or stiffened with the Tylo, and you can have these ready and then make your cookies, pop them on. Quite small cookies, I have to say, but yeah. So I think that's quite a pretty little plaque. So that would go nice. So you've got your cupcakes and you've got your matching cookies. Okay, let's put those out of the way. So the other ones I want to show you then, I'll put those back in the pot. Out of the way are some of these. So again, I'm going to use white paste just for this one. This is going to go onto a large cake. So I'm going to move my cake in a minute, so I'll just move all this off the table. That's fine. Bit of a clatter. Okay. So that's my paste. And I'm going to use this one. And I think this one, I always call this a lemon. It looks like a little lemon shape. So little tracks on here. Try and get rid of all the cookie bits. I should have put that on a separate board, I think. Right, so roll, don't lift. Now this could be in any colour you want. Tracks up, cut out. Now, because the designs of the moment are only partly on the cake, it's not all over the sides, that would be entirely up to you how you wanted this to be. Just going to make about 8 of these. So cut the centres. You may want to keep that shape for future use. You could just emboss the centre with something else. This is the whole point about the mix and match set. Lots and lots and lots of alternatives. You do get a little diagram, a little leaflet in the set, just to give you a few ideas of each and how they look. So I'm just going to peel that off there, peel that off there, peel that off there. I'm not going to, well, I might keep these, I've put them out, I might as well. So I'm just going to lift them onto a sponge pad for now. I'll just cut out another 3. Right, I've got a question. Would you be willing to tell us more about how you use various brushes and the types of brushes, perhaps in another lesson? I certainly, oh, there's Claire. Hiya, Claire. I certainly will. I use whatever I've got to hand. When I had classes, I used to buy them absolutely hundreds at a time for the class to use. So I have got lots and lots of brushes, but I tend to, I mean, some people like flat brushes. I tend to use what's to hand. I like a very fine brush. I do like the sable brushes for the very fine work, so I would go down to 10-0 if depending on what I'm doing. I'll take a bit more there. I like what I call a fluffy brush, number 6 or number 8, and because I buy them quite cheaply, I think Sugar and Crumbs have got loads of brush sets. But I bought all mine sort of individual sizes, so I would buy 50 for the class, number 6s, 50 number 8s, 50 number 3s. I use number 3 a lot as well, and then the very fine ones. And then when I stopped doing the classes, I've got all these brushes, so I've got brushes for every colour. I don't actually have to change my brush much at all. So yeah. That's all I do. Number 6, number 8, fluffy brushes as I call them. When I'm brushing around the outside edge of something and I just want a hint of colour. Number 3, what's this one? It's going to be something totally different, isn't it? Oh, number 4. So yeah, I'm using that one. So it's really a 6, an 8, 3, 4, and then very fine brushes, depending on what I'm doing. Right. I mean, the classes now, I tell everyone to bring their own. Most people have got them anyway. So I do send them. Bring their own. Right, I'm just pressing in there. Oh, I missed your cake last night, Claire. I'll have a look later. I haven't watched much this week, actually. Been one of those weeks. Okay, so take that away. Pop that on there. Sponge pad. And this one. You can dust them. You can do them pearlized. There's so many lovely colours out there now. But I'm just going to put these on white so they show up nicely on the cake. I'm just going to put a few on. As I say, I don't want to have the whole side covered in them. and I don't want you to have to sit and watch me do that. Okay. Heather, do I use a steamer at all? Very rarely. I know it sets the colour, but then it just goes back to dust again. So some people do, some people don't. I've got one here actually down on the floor. So if I was doing flowers, sometimes I do, if it's the strong colours, and I do the whole bouquet, put it together, and then I steam the whole thing. I don't just go one at a time. I just steam the whole thing. It's easier. Right, so if you've got quite a soft paste, I will just let that firm up for about 10 minutes. If it's not that soft, if you're using, as I say, the sugar and crumbs sugar paste with Tyler in it, you can go ahead straight away. You haven't got to wait. But I do flip them over. I'm just going to put a few on so that you can see I don't want to spend the whole gem on these. I'll keep the lemons to one side. You see, if you had me pot brush and textured them, they would make little lemons, wouldn't they? Not if you're going to do a lemon cake. Ah, our horses. What's the name of this mould you're using, please, Marion? Hi, Hunt. It's. I think you might have it. You've got everything else. It's the. What is it? Mix and match set. Do you know what it is? Gone out my head. Mix and match set it is. And I think you'll like what's coming up with this because it's flowers and things that maybe you wouldn't use them for. So I've got a little bit of brown on my water brush, but is anyone going to see? And it's a dummy cake anyway. So I'm just putting a little water on the back of these while I stick them on the cake. So I'll bring my big cake into view now. So these will be just drying off now before I even get them on, probably. It would have done last week, wouldn't it? Right, so I'm just going to put that to one side. I'll bring my cake in. And then I'll put them on the side of the cake. Okay, now, I've made a little mark on there to remind me which side I'm working on. And so you would then, there's still a little bit sticky. So you've got the choice then, you can hopefully get them straight. I'm working on the side, so they're maybe not as straight as I want them to be. But you can do rows. No, that's not straight, is it? You can do rows of different colour as well. You know, you can start off with the pink and then work up so you've got like a rainbow effect. I'll have to go over that again. Let's see. But this is a dummy cake, so it doesn't matter if I don't get it right the first time. But you see what I mean? You could have the ombre effect as well. So you're just following the previous row. Hi Donna. If that was real cake, I could just eat a slice that. I've been on a diet for 4 days. Feel like my throat's being cut. Well, yeah, it's a dummy. I won't be cruel. It is a dummy. For that exact same reason. No, I have cakes. I want them for shows, so I keep them to take if I'm doing any shows. So that's why I'll put that one there. Okay, I won't cut any more of these out because I'm sure you can see where I'm going with that. So you can have them as close to, as far apart. You can have them textured. You can colour them before you put them on. You could go back and cut out some of those little tiny, that one, and place those in the centre if you wanted to. But I am going to go on to things like that in a moment. So you can see on the side, I'm going to put some flowers on there in a minute. Well, I'm going to finish with the flowers because the next thing I'm going to show you is this. So I'm just going to roll some of this out. Now I'm going to a cream coloured paste. So I've used the cream Pro Gel to colour this. And I've used it and used it and used it. It's gone a bit tough, my paste. So anyway, it'll do. So just put that over there out the way. I'm just working. Right, so again, a little bit of your shortening on there. Roll, don't lift. Sorry, I'm just reading comments. It's hard to work and read at the same time. I can't do two things at once anymore. I used to do about 10, but hey ho. Oh right, Claire, are you at home? You're being harassed. It's the mix and match set, Claire. Right, so I'm not going to cut out everything here, but what I want you to think of now is doing a large piece for the side of a tall cake like this one. So I'll move that out of the way. So this one is a really sort of detailed one, and I have got a thing on our website, a tutorial, not a thing, showing how to make not a crown, what do you call them, the lady ones, a coronet or something, anyway, one of those, using that. So I'm not going to do that here, but you need to roll your paste out really thin, press over, and the design I'm working on, I'm cutting out 4 of everything. Now I can see that that's all dark, the lines are dark, so I know that that's cut through. So I'm just going to take a cocktail stick and this is the detail bit here, so I'm going to get rid of all these bits first of all. Just pull those back. So you can see why you do need a firm paste for this. Even a flour paste, you could go onto a flour paste now, or if you're still using your sugar paste, you might need a little bit more corn flour in it. It does depend on the humidity as well. It might not be as hot, but it's flipping humid, isn't it? Right, so let's get rid of all these bits first of all. You might even want to keep this shape, you know. I don't, I just dig them out. But if you've got patience, then you might want to keep. I don't know what on earth you'd do with that one, but it might fill a gap. Right, so I'm just going to take that across, peel the paste from around the outside edge, yeah, and then lift that onto your sponge pad. So I'll use one of these. I didn't really use plastic, I don't know if it's going to lift. Oh yeah, use a paper or a thin card would do it. Okay, so that's that one. Then I'm going to use, I'm not going to use, this square one's lovely, and you can use that one to cut out and just give you a really fine edge, but I'm not using those today. I could go on and on and on, or you'll be here all afternoon. Right, so I'm just cutting out these, that one. So again, you'd cut 4. So pull that out of there. I'll just show you on that tray again, what I'm cutting out, so you can see. So the fussy one that I cut out, I call it the fussy one, which is there. That's the one I cut out now in yellow, and then I cut that tiddly bit off from there. So I've just got that piece if I wanted to make the crown or the coronet. So that's the square one with a bit taken out there. That one I'm using later for flowers. This is the one I'm cutting out now. Done that one, and I've done that one. Okay, so what you do is you get 4 of everything, and so I've done that one. I'm doing that one, am I? Oh yes, I am. Right, so one of those, take out the little middle, take that away, just tidy this up a bit. Okay, so if you lift that up, you can pop that one out. You need 4 of those, and I think you need about 8 of these little ones. You need to put a few extras right? So there. So I've done that one. I think I'm okay now with these. I'll just put those to one side. So if you've got 4 of everything and you're wanting a nice big side design for your cake, I'll show you this. There, it's like that. Sorry, I thought we were watching. Right, I'm going to put that. Where's my little pot for that? Right. So you can see I've got 4 facing each other. Now I want, because you need to measure the side of your cake, obviously. So I've got 4, and I've spaced the top and bottom one out so that will fit the side of my cake height wise. I don't really want it more rounded. I want it the design to be an oval shape. So I've gone in there. These 2 are those that I cut out. These 4, that one that cuts out. These little tiddly bits are there in the middle. So what you do then is you take them while they're still softish. You need to be able to handle them. You don't want this flopping about all over the place. Just put that there. Move that out of the way. Right, so this is why I've done them in like a pale cream colour, because I'm going to put gold lustre on them. And I like to go over with a little bit of Trex. Now if you use a brush, you tend to put too much on. So I just get my finger and thumb together and just give it a little bit of a tap, just to rub a little bit of Trex on. Sometimes I put Trex on the back of my hands and take it from there. Yeah, and then I'm going to go over with, I'll go over with the bright gold. You can use a creamy gold, but I'll go over with this bright gold, this Wonder Dust. Okay, so you can see how fabulous this looks. The one on the cake I'm going to show you, I have used a slightly lighter one. I wish I'd used this one now, but I have used a slightly lighter one because that's what I had to hand, and I thought it would look pretty. But this is more gold, as it's called. What is it? Oh, bright gold. Yeah. I thought it was bold gold. Right, so as long as you can handle this and it's not going to flop about, then get your knife and put it, and then just give it a little flip. So that's just firming up nicely. So I would flip that over, moisten the back. Now again, you can either use, well, I'll use that brush. So you would just don't make sure that you're not getting it absolutely dripping wet. Okay, because you don't want colour to run underneath, water to run underneath. You just want to make this sticky, not drippy. All right. Right, and then you get hold of it and you would place that at the top of your cake. Right, so I'm going to show you now the side that I've finished, so you can see what it looks like when it's done. There you go. So I think that looks really pretty. I like it. On the top here, it's exactly what I've done on the side, around the other side. I'll show you in a minute. I'll just let you have a look at that first so you can see the design that you have on there. And around the bottom here, I've just softened some sugar paste, number 3 piping nozzle, and then I've just piped the softened sugar paste like that, so it matches exactly the shade of the cake. So it's not royal icing, it's just softened sugar paste. Now on the top, I have used this same design as I've done on here, but I've cut and put on these little bits. It shows you what a little collar would look like, similar to the orchid garland that I did last time, and that effect. But I have to be honest, when I iced this cake, I was going to just do a section, and then I thought, oh, I'll do the rest. And then I thought, I'll do the top. So it was going on piece by piece. And I have to say, round the top was pretty rough. So I thought, right, I need to cover that up. And so I've shown you that you can use them for little collars as well. So it worked out okay. But you've got gold on the top, gold ribbon on the bottom, and then you have your gold on your side. All right? Okay, so I'll put that to one side, and I'm going to show you the flowers now. So I'll move that out of the way. Now, if you're going to put them into the side of a cake, you've either got to use the, oh, I forgot again, I was going to get it out as well. It's a little pot. If I talk and move at the same time, don't know where it is. It's the little pot of wax, and you melt it in the microwave, and you dip your wires in it if you're going to put them straight into the cake. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use it's really hard to get at the moment. I don't know why. It comes from America. Maybe that's why. So I'm going to use cocktail sticks for my flowers. So I'm going to take some of the peach, the coral colour. So I've added some coral. Just a little bit. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, you all. Oh, Safety Seal. Claire, you're a star. Safety Seal. You see, Claire's a lot younger than me. She's still got her memory, but bless. Right, Safety Seal. I couldn't remember it last time either, could I? And then I found some. I thought, oh, I'll have to remember that and get it out. But there you go. Right. So I'm rolling out this flour paste, or your sugar paste is higher. And I'm going to use just the centre of this one. So I'll probably get about 3 out of there. Because it's big and open, I'm probably getting away with not putting Trex on the cutter. We'll soon find out. Just starting to pull a bit, yeah. So a little bit of Trex on there would have helped. Now I don't need the outer edge of this. I'm only going for the centre. So get rid of that. But you can use that on the side of your cake if you let them firm up a little before you put those on. Then you can have it, as I say, there's a picture that comes in with the cutters, and you could have rows and rows of those little lacy flowers. Sorry, I'm just going to have a little drink of my Wells Coolest Nana water. Oh, that's better. Right, so I've got my 2 little flowers there. Move that back over there. Right. So now these are fantasy flowers. Don't think, oh, they don't really look like anything. They're not meant to. You're just using your side designs, but it's a 6-petal. So think about your 6-petal flowers. You might be able to change them a little bit. I'm going to keep that one under cover. Now, if you've got plastic, you can pop, or just use your smoother on top of it, and that'll keep it soft. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is just stretch that paste. So just go over it to a point, bring it out a little bit. The first 2 layers, you don't really put much effort into this. That's it really. A little bit round the outside edge, just to thin, and then water. And really went into my cup of water then. Okay, so just going to fold that up. Now, when you fold it up, twist it so that the petals don't lie exactly on above each other. A little more water, and then I'm going to pop on my stick. Right, so that goes on there, and then I'm just wrapping that round. So all I've got here now is a little clump of petals. As I say, it's not anything in particular. If you think, oh, there's one petal that's really, really long and it's getting on your nerves, then grab it and just pull it out. It's your flower. Nobody's going to count these petals. If they do, they need to get out more. Right, so I'm just going to put that into, well, I'll leave it down there for now. I'm going to take the next one, and you leave that to dry. So I've got one here that's already dried. Now, if you were going to put them on a stick, you would do on a wire. I'd probably use a 24 gauge wire and do exactly the same as I'm doing now. So there's my little thing. That one's dried. This layer is more or less the same. So think about stretching. So just bringing it out to a slight point, stretching, softening. And that's all there is for the first 2 layers. Gets a little bit more complicated in a minute. So you can make these with any bits that you've got left from doing your cake. You can make these flowers. Now, instead of sort of laying it on, I'm now going to go in the centre, up the back, and put them on cocktail sticks because they're food grade, so they can go into your cake, directly into your cake. And just give them that pinch. Just gather it up so you get a nice little pinch of things there. All right. Right, so I'm going to put that there for a sec. Then roll out more. Now it takes about eight layers per flower. Don't switch off. Stay with me. Because if you're going to cover the side with those outer bits, you're going to have lots of centres anyway, aren't you, to use up. So roll it nice and thin. Okay. You don't want it too thick because when you go to soften the edges, as I say, your bone tool will split the paste. So roll that out. And I'm going to put a little bit of Trex on there this time. And I'll cut a few. So it's one. Remember, you can overlap a bit because it's this centre here that's cutting. I don't need that outer. So don't even think about that as long as you've got the centres clear of each other. Thank you, Paula. There's some very funny comments. I'm trying to cling on to mine as well, Claire, but hey ho. Right, so I'm just going to put these under wraps. So if you've got a Stay Fresh mat, which is like 2 flaps of plastic, you can put them on there. But I tend to just put them on there with a smoother or a plastic bag even on top. If you're going to put a plastic bag on top, just to make sure that it's well sealed, what you do is you put a circle of your shortening round like that, and that holds your plastic bag down. To make it nice and airtight until you need them. But I'm just going to pop my smoother on top. Right, so yes, I was saying about the cake when you sugar paste your cake before. It is best not to sugar paste your cake at night in artificial light. If you can, do it in daylight, because artificial light, it always looks great. And you go to bed and you get up the next day and you think, oh, that didn't quite look the same as it did last night. Right, so I'm just stretching that, and then because I find it easier, I'm going to place it onto the firm background. So if I try to stretch that on here, I would split the paste, right? Filling stick. So if you haven't got a filling stick, then you can use your paintbrush handle just to widen, but you don't get any pattern, not that you're going to see it anyway. If you've got a filling stick, it's got texture on it, a little smiley mouth for models, but just go over that. So you're just widening. So if you're making a note, you want to lengthen, bring it to a slight point, take it off the pad, widen as much as you like. It doesn't have to be terribly wide at this stage. Then you put it back on your pad, upside down, and then soften round. So you lengthen, widen, soften, and then with the bone tool you place and just stroke that So when you turn it back, the petals will look as though they're falling away. So that in itself is a nice little flower. If you made a little wired calyx, you could pop that on top, but that's a different one again. Right, so I'm going to put some water in the centre of that. You take your layer on here. Oh, right, yeah. Janie, Ziploc bags, one of the best inventions of late. Yeah, great. Whatever you find best for you. Right, so I'm just gathering these up, right? So I'll just put it there. I know you're not supposed to do that, but that's why all my sponge pads have got holes in, because I'm terrible for sticking things into them. Right, so wires usually, but in this place a cocktail stuff. So you keep going, exactly the same now with every layer. So widen. Because I'm on a non-stick board, I'm not using corn flour. I don't like using corn flour with cutters anyway, because I think when you gather all your paste up, it really starts to get dry. But there's no need for Trex either, because this is a nice non-stick board. Put it face down, soften around the edge. I don't need to do all the layers actually, because you know what I'm doing now. Bring that back, 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 bring that back. And then you water or you glue, whatever you're happy with. About halfway up each petal. I didn't turn it back again, did I? Oh. Right, let's see how we go now. This is where I get sticky fingers. Let's see if it'll move off there. No, it won't. That's what happens when you're talking, you see. So that will go through there, and then you just pinch. Now I'm holding the cocktail stick like that, and I use my wherever next to the little finger just to push it all down. Yeah. Now if you turn it that way up, it starts to really open up too much for now. So what I do is I get an old dummy and something like a block, well, a box or I usually roll icing, and I stick them like that underneath for about 10 minutes. Because it's a cocktail stick, you can't bend it over. If it was wire, then I'd put them over the FMM former, the flower support thing. But I tend to just stick these upside down for about 10 minutes. And then I keep going with about 8 layers until the last layer is going on quite flat. It's not cupping round. Again, when you're putting the layers on, try and get them in between the previous ones. Just give it a little twist. And then this little flower here, you know, the tiny one that was cutting out before, I've just cut out in green for a calyx. And then I'll move all these out of the way because I don't need those. Oh, I don't need that one either. And then I'm going to use the coral, because I've used the coral dust. I don't need those. I've used the coral dust to colour the paste. So I just added some in and mixed it in. So I'm just going to use the Neat Coral colour, dust colour, just to brush a little into the centre, just to darken it. So just use a little bit of that. And I think that's all it needs. It doesn't need much. Nice for a cupcake size as well, that. And because they're on a stick, a cocktail stick, you could cut it about there, sharp cut, don't get any fine bits of wood thread, and then that would look nice in a cupcake. Right, so I've got those, and the other little flower I want to show you is that little 4-point square one. So where did I put them all? There. It's this little tiny one here. Now you might think, oh, well, these are a bit fiddly, but I just like doing them. So you take a little piece of white paste, so just work it Right, so you don't need a massive, if the bigger the ball, the more flowers you're going to need to cover it. So it's about the same as, oh, well, that's a bit odd really, because everyone's got different size nails, haven't they? But they're the size of Maltesers are now, not like they used to be years ago. Right, I'll just still take a little bit off there. Okay, so then I'm going to get a cocktail stick, a little water, dip the end in water, push it in there, and just put that to one side for a minute, because everything goes on while it's soft. So, a little piece of paste, and you're going to need about 8 little flowers. Okay. Over, and then just chop them out. If you feel it's catching at all, go back. Right, and then just going to pull some of that paste away, make sure they're loose. And then put some water on this ball. Now you have to do this while the ball's soft. If you leave it to dry, what I'm going to do now is push these flowers into it. And if you leave it to dry, obviously you're not going to be able to push them in. It will dry off as it goes, so I'll have to keep touching that up. So with your Dresden tool, right, the flat end, that's the pointy sharp end with a ridge, that's your flat end. So what I do is scoop that up and place it on, and then push. So you're holding that ball at the back, then lift the petals up, pick that up, push that one underneath, scoop it up. So if you just push it down, you're not going to be able to lift it. So you have got to scoop it. As soon as I said that, it wouldn't lift. Right, so that's just starting to dry. So again, scoop it up, and as long as you lift these petals, then you're okay. Maybe if I take the paste from around them first, push it in, lift them up. So you're just making like little white pom-poms, aren't you? You work your way down. How many did I cut out? I can't remember now, but it doesn't really matter, because as long as you've got your paste there, you can soon cut out a few more if you need them. But support that that ball as you go. Okay, so lift it up, stick it on until you've gone all the way down. The last one. And then when you leave them to dry, you can then, I like to put a little bit of lime green in the middle. Let's get rid of all this. Okay, and a little smallish brush. At this stage I'm looking for a dry brush, that'll do. Okay, so just get a little lime green, and then I have one here that's dry. And so just in the centre of each, just dab a little lime green. So it's just, the lime green is just a hint then. If you went on to rainforest, it would be far too dark. Okay, and so then, as long as you have cutters, you can cut that at an angle, sharp, so there's no loose hair, no hair, wood. on there, okay? And then that can go straight into your cake. So I'm just going to put these onto the side now so that you can see what they look like. Move that out of the way. Bring this back. Okay, so I'll start off. I'll just put a few flowers there. So, oh, that's the one I just made. Just need to pick up the one I just made. So I'm cutting quite short, but if it was a real cake, then you could have them longer. Hopefully that will go in. Without too much effort, let's see. Try and get on there. More resistance to this than would be in your cake, I hope. And then a couple of the little white. Now this is the wired one. Done exactly the same. Hook the wire, put a ball on, and then start sticking all your flowers in. I would never put a bare wire into a cake. It would have to be into the I've forgotten again. Claire, what is it? No, it's gone. I'll have to look back on comments and see. But you can build this up. Cut out a few leaves if you wanted greenery on there. But that just gives you a nice little flower design to run alongside you. You mix and match side designs, any design you like on that one. So that is the end of today's dem. I'd just like to say before we finish, thank you to everyone who commented on our in our group about Nick. Terribly sad time, terribly sad. I'm not going to go on too much about it, but I just want to say thank you for everyone who posted, and that we are all feeling the same. And hopefully you'll take, if you're going to the NEC, or you can post a little tribute of flowers to him. It can be any medium, and you can send it in to, I'll find out the address for you, where you can send any of the flowers, because we're going to make a big floral tribute to him at the Cake International, so that would be lovely. So yeah, as I say, we're all sharing, we all went into shock, and it's just terribly sad, and our love goes to Scott and his family. Right, so as I say, that's the end of today's dem. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next Thursday, all being well. I'll let you know what I'm going to be doing. I haven't decided yet, but speak to you soon anyway. Have a lovely weekend, and well, a full week till I see you again next time. Bye.